Did you celebrate any of your wins over the past 7 days? And I do mean any win. Anything you did in the past 7 days, did you stop? Take the time to celebrate yourself. I'm asking because it never ceases to amaze me how many people come to me with public speaking anxiety. They have achieved great things in their personal lives, their careers, and in their businesses, but do not celebrate their accomplishments. We will talk about the importance of celebrating yourself on a regular and consistent basis when it comes to helping build public speaking confidence. Before we do, I'd like to take this opportunity to say hello to you. If this is your first time encountering me, I am Dr. Shalonda Jones. I am a communication scholar and a public speaking coach. I specialize in helping entrepreneurs, people in leadership positions, and professionals learn to transform whatever concerns they have with public speaking into confidence so they can speak up, get the respect they deserve as the knowledgeable and credible professional they are. If you've been with me before, welcome back. It's always a pleasure interacting with you. In this current conversation, we are going to talk about an important confidence builder that is often overlooked. The three main points I am going to discuss are: number one, how your brain responds when you celebrate yourself on a regular basis; two, how your nervous system responds when you celebrate yourself on a regular basis; and three, how those two combined, your brain and your nervous system, being accustomed to you celebrating yourself, helps to contribute to public speaking confidence. The whole point of this conversation is to encourage you to celebrate all wins, regardless if you perceive the win to be a big win or a small win. Celebrate all wins on a regular and consistent basis. You deserve it, and it also helps to build public speaking confidence. As we talk about the importance of celebrating all your wins, I am going to challenge you to take action by sharing in the comments one thing you're celebrating that you've accomplished this week in the past 7 days. That is the easiest way to start now building the habit of celebrating your wins. When we take the time to celebrate all of our wins, regardless if we perceive those wins to be big or small, this has a significant impact on our brains. There's a chemical release called dopamine, and most people are familiar with what dopamine is. Dopamine is often called the feel-good neurotransmitter. Well, when that neurotransmitter is released, when dopamine is released, it not only helps us to feel good, it reinforces the habit. That's why we do not have a problem with eating our favorite foods, because dopamine is released when we have the experience of enjoying our favorite foods. Well, when we are intentional about building the habit of celebrating our wins, it has a similar effect to when we eat our favorite foods. It feels good, and we want more of those experiences. When we celebrate our wins and that dopamine is released in our brains, that's like an anchor for building confidence, because that dopamine release is a bridge between the effort we've put in and feeling empowered about being able to accomplish whatever goals we set out to accomplish, especially when it comes to giving a successful presentation. Every single time you celebrate any win, you are sending a message to your brain that says it is safe for me to feel good about accomplishing goals. And since it is safe for me to feel good about accomplishing goals, I want to accomplish more goals. So since I want to accomplish more goals, let's get busy on achieving more outcomes. Celebrating your wins on a weekly basis, actually a daily basis, is far more ideal. This is like stacking momentum, and you want to continue to build on that momentum, but it will become more of an enjoyable experience than a stressful experience. And that leads me to my second point. The reason it becomes less of a stress is because you're starting to regulate your nervous system. Before we go into the nervous system regulation aspect of celebrating wins, I have to say, in my book, The Heart of Public Speaking, that's available on Amazon, I make a clear distinction between public speaking anxiety and public speaking fear. Although people use those terms interchangeably, they are drastically different. They're often mistaken to be the same thing because they have similar symptoms. When it comes to distinguishing between public speaking anxiety and public speaking fear, it's all about your surroundings. I share stories comparing people who are in situations where they legitimately have public speaking fear versus people who have public speaking anxiety in my book, The Heart of Public Speaking. Most people, the majority of people, experience public speaking anxiety and not fear. That's important to know because when you understand you're experiencing public speaking anxiety, you could take specific steps to regulate your nervous system. Why would I say that? Remember, a few minutes ago, I said the difference between public speaking anxiety and public speaking fear, it's all about thought pattern and all about the environment you're in. When a person experiences public speaking anxiety specifically, it's because they're worried about what might happen when it's time to give a presentation. Or they ruminate, they linger on thoughts of things that happened in the past that did not go well, and they're worried those things might happen again. Or while they're giving a presentation and they experience public speaking anxiety in the moment, they worry the presentation isn't going well and they're concerned about how people perceive them. That's important to know because when the nervous system becomes dysregulated due to anxiety, it thrives on uncertainty, not knowing, worrying about what might happen. However, when you have made it a habit to celebrate your wins, then your nervous system starts to view uncertainty as something called eustress. Eustress means good stress. The prefix EU means good. And of course, we know stress means there's some type of pressure in the environment. And we use that kind of stress to help us be successful. But that comes from knowing that you have been successful in your everyday life. That's why it said it's ideal for us to celebrate wins on a daily basis, but it certainly helps for us to celebrate our wins on a weekly basis. Make sure there's consistency in celebrating your wins because when it comes time to do something like give a presentation, then your brain is conditioned to reflect on past experiences that have been successful, which in turn helps to regulate your nervous system and remind you you're in a safe place. You've done things before that did not have a predictable outcome. You can do this again and expect to win. Bottom line is those neural pathways created in your brain because of the consistent dopamine release helps you to have a different perspective about giving a presentation, which in turn calms your nervous system, reduces the amount of public speaking anxiety you experience, and increases the level of confidence to deliver a successful presentation. That leads to the third important thing I want to share with you in this conversation, which is how on earth does celebrating wins every day, at least every week, build public speaking confidence? It might sound like I'm reaching, but I really am not. Here's the connection. Because of the fact you've made a habit of tracking your wins, at least on a weekly basis, it's a regular habit for you. Your identity shifts into somebody who knows they do things successfully. You take on a whole new personality. And when it comes to public speaking, all of those what ifs, things don't go well? What if people think I don't know what I'm talking about? Or what if this bad experience I had the last time happens again? They go away. You start to learn to rethink how you predict the outcome for giving your presentation. You start to say things like, yeah, this can go well. I've done hard things before and I've done them successfully. Or I've done things before that I wasn't sure how to do them, but I figured it out and it went over well. That's called reframing. You start to reframe your thoughts by recalling your past wins instead of feeling anxious about what might happen when you give your presentation. Celebrating your wins is more than a habit for you. It actually transforms you into a confident person. You have a whole new self concept. And like I said in the beginning of our conversation, I have met with and coached some high achievers. They've done remarkable things in their careers, in their businesses, and in their personal lives. And when I ask them, how do you celebrate yourself when you accomplish something? I repeatedly hear, I don't. I just move on to the next thing. I am not reaching when I tell you there's a relationship between celebrating yourself consistently and the level of confidence you experience when it's time to give a presentation. I understand why a person can move on to the next goal without celebrating their most recent accomplishment, because I am that person who needs to practice what I preach. After I published The Heart of Public Speaking, despite the fact it took 2 years to write the book, countless rewrites, edits, all of those things, I did not celebrate because I felt like I needed to move right on to the next part of my business, which is to provide adequate resources for people to have tutorials, video tutorials on YouTube. As we're having this conversation now, I still need to correct that behavior. I need to find a way to celebrate having actually published The Heart of Public Speaking. At the same time, I can say with confidence, because of the fact I've made a habit of celebrating my wins, I was able to write The Heart of Public Speaking. That I know, because writing The Heart of Public Speaking, as I reveal in the first chapter, was a little bit anxiety inducing for me. The same applies to you when it comes to giving successful presentations. The more you stack your wins on a consistent basis, the more confident you will feel about your ability to clearly articulate impactful messages that your audience gets value from. The point is, not only do we deserve to celebrate ourselves, it benefits us in so many ways, especially when it comes to accomplishing other goals like giving presentations with success. As I am wrapping up our conversation for today, remember, share in the comments something you are going to celebrate that you've accomplished in the past 7 days. And I've got to emphasize there's no such thing as a big win or a small win. A win is a win. So share with us in the comments so we can help celebrate each other. The reason we're doing this is because, like we said, number one, dopamine is released. Dopamine is that feel-good neurotransmitter that makes us want to do things consistently. We want to consistently win. Second, when we are in a habit of celebrating our wins on a regular basis, that helps us to reframe our thoughts. In other words, that helps us to think of things to regulate our nervous system and reduce public speaking anxiety. And speaking of public speaking anxiety, the third thing is our whole self-concept, who we know ourselves to be, completely changes when we program our mind and our nervous system to know that we are successful at accomplishing tasks. That brings us to the end of this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Time is the most valuable resource we have because it is the one commodity. Once it's spent, it's impossible to get it back. And that's why I appreciate you spending your time with me. As always, do something today and every day to help make your greatest ambition, your greatest accomplishment, and write it down. Celebrate it.